property market.
Yes, lots of us are heading to auction houses all around the UK.
So let's see what properties were bagged on today's show.
First up, in Guildford, Surrey. I can't believe my ears.
6 weeks and 15 grand.
I know.
And in the town of Ripley in Derbyshire, I'm afraid I'm all fingers and thumbs. Right. Whilst in Walderslade, Chatham, a property is really getting up my nose. And the smell? Worse, if anything.
All these properties have been sold at auction. We'll find out who bought them and what they paid for them when they went under the hammer.
All done.
Guildford, the county town of Surrey, is a historic area that I know well, but it's not often that I'm here with homes under the hammer, so for me, this is a real treat. It has a lovely cobbled high street and is set along the River Way. It also has great train links, which take you into central London in only 36 minutes.
Well, the good news is this street is only a 5-minute walk from the station, which makes it a popular place to be. So, come on, what can you buy at auction for a guide price of £125,000 then? Well, a one-bedroom flat, that's what. And when I tell you a one-bed flat around here sells for up to £230,000 on this street, it could be good value for money. Or might we find a lot of work to do inside? Not so good. Let's go in.
The adjacent flat looks like it's already had some work done, but I've got a feeling the one I'm here to see will be a little different, judging by its rather overgrown appearance.
Interesting. So this room is in complete contrast with the hallway, which seems freshly painted and nice and modern and contemporary. And as you can see in here, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. You've got plaster hanging off the ceiling. It's just all a bit grubby. You need new carpets. But it's quite a grand room. It's a great size. You've got little picture rails. You can imagine what a room like this would be like once renovated. You could put some nice doors on. But through here is, I'm presuming, the lounge. So that means that room there is the bedroom. And I don't like the idea of walking straight into your bedroom area. So I think I would create a little corridor. Or you can see this was the original doorway. Do you want to reinstate that? I'm not sure. Maybe it was covered up because a sofa would have run along the back wall here. So I'm still thinking a little corridor probably is the way to go. You've got the kitchen there, bathroom out the back. Hold on a minute. It's a rather large window. Look, I'm not quite sure how you're supposed to get out to this outside space. I don't know what this monstrosity is. I'm going to find out. Hang fire.
So unless you're going to jump out of the window, there's no direct access outside. Very bizarre. Bear with me. I am nearly there.
So I've gone back through the front door, along the internal hallway to my little bit of outside space, and it really is a little bit of outside space. It's a backyard, and it consists of this and, well, that. So not much at all. Definitely get this old monstrosity down. It's in the way and it just looks awful. And you would certainly need to remember to put a door here so you get direct access from the inside out. And then, well, you've got somewhere to hang your washing, park your bike and have a glass of wine.
But as well as sorting out that outside space, there is plenty of work to be done on the inside. OK, it needs a new boiler, central heating, a new kitchen, and I would say most definitely a rewire. I've also noticed some worrying signs of damp, which should set alarm bells ringing. You'll need to get that checked out by a specialist. And back to those layout issues. Well, it's never ideal to walk through your kitchen into the bathroom, but in this case, I don't think there's much you could do to change that. And it is expected in a Victorian property like this. There's just one more thing, and that's out the front.
one of the first things I would do to this flat would be to head out here and give this hedge a haircut. Look, it's far too overgrown and it's blocking the sunlight from flooding into here. While you're out here as well, these windows need replacing, and I would recommend trimming back this ivy as well. So, a trip to a housing beautician for a bit of a facelift.
I want to let it shine, shine.
And on that note, it's time to cast some light on the property market in this area. And who better to enlighten us than a local property agent?
Definitely needs quite a bit of work. The property suffers from damping issues as well as the obvious replastering. Decorating is going to need new kitchen, things moving around quite a lot. Probably new windows as well, so there's going to be quite a bit of money spent.
This flat is in prime rental and first-time buyer territory. So how much could it be worth?
I think that once this property has been renovated, you could achieve in the region of £220,000 to £230,000.
And what about rental?
I think once the flat's renovated, you could achieve in rental value approximately £895 per calendar month.
You can improve the condition of a property, but you can't change where it is. Location is key, and in this case, well, it's a big fat tick in the box. Yes, the flat does need a lot of work, but that can all be done in good time. So, who was sold by this street when we went to the auction? Let's find out.
It's a ground floor flat, requiring upgrading. Anyone want to start me off? 150, not going to go below 150. It's got to be worth that all day long. 150 on the phone, 150,000 I've got. 155 at the back and 160. 160, 161, 162. 165, okay, he knows the value. 166 at the back. Looking for 166, 166, new spot on my left. 167, 168, 169, 170, madam. 171, 171, new spot. 172, 173, 174, 175, 176, 177. Nope, 176,000 on my left. 177, anywhere else? If not, 176,000 for the first, 176,000 for the second, 176,000 for the third and final time. Well done. Sold 176. Well bought, madam.
And the successful bidder was local web designer and mum of two, Catherine, who lives in nearby Farnham. I joined her back at the flat to find out why she bought this place.
Congratulations, Catherine.
Thank you.
Is this a project for yourself to sort of get your teeth into?
Yes, I'm hoping it'll be the start of many more, but I feel confident I can manage this and, and see where it takes me.
So have you done any developing at all before?
Refurbed our family home,
Yeah.
and we have done a new build as well, so we sort of learnt on the job and know the pitfalls, and feel confident taking this on.
Is this to flip and put straight back onto the open market, or are you just doing it because you love it and you've got the property bug now?
I want to rent it, don't want to sell it on just yet, and really just see where it takes us. And also I do sort of enjoy the remodelling and refreshing and starting with something that looks like this and at the end having something that looks much nicer and you feel as though you've created something.
I know from my own experience that property developing is a good career to fit around raising your kids. But Catherine is running a web design business as well. So is property developing really going to fit in for her?
This fits in perfectly because you're, in charge of your own timetable and your diary. So I can still do the school runs and still be there for them after school.
So what are you going to do with this place?
Obviously, it's in quite a poor state, so just get everything out. At the moment, the front door comes in to the bedroom, so we need to put a little hallway in. The bathroom needs doing, kitchen needs doing, perhaps a door to the outdoor area. So where the window is, which is sort of collapsing, that needs to come out anyway, so I think that's a perfect place to actually replace that window with a door. And if you remove the lean-to, it will take you straight out. You could put your bike out there, it's safe, you're washing. There is room for a barbecue if you really wanted one, or just to let some air in on a summer's day.
I beg your pardon.
I never promised you a rose garden.
So the plan for the garden is set, but inside not everything is smelling of roses.
Now, I have spotted some damp in that corner over there.
Yes.
Is that rising damp coming from underneath, or is it just condensation? What do you
We
think?
suspect it's just from the lean-to and where it's leaked. There is some leaks coming from outside, so fingers crossed that's the extent of it.
OK. How much money are you going to spend here?
I'm hoping to have it all done under 15.
Under 15,000?
Yeah.
So you need to put in central heating, you need to think about a boiler, a kitchen, a bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
The list is quite a long list. So come on, what's your time scale?
I'm hoping 6 weeks.
6 weeks and 15 grand?
I know. But I think it will be more like 8 to 10.
8 to 10 weeks and maybe more like 20 to 25,000 pounds, do you think?
No, I'm confident. I'm confident on the 15.
Catherine, good luck. I cannot wait to see what it's like when it's done. I'm sure it's going to be fabulous. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's great that Catherine now has the time to make a start on her new property career. However, her budget is small and her timescale is tight, so it all needs to go to plan if she's going to stick to them. Let's hope she doesn't unearth anything too costly once she gets started. You can join me later in the programme to see how she gets on.
To Derbyshire now, and one of its many picturesque towns. Ripley grew from a small village during the Industrial Revolution to a booming town which really made its mark on the UK. Rich in minerals such as iron and coal, local companies grew from this and led them to making landmark monuments, such as the famous roof of St Pancras. Not bad for a little town that started off as just a little farming village. Well, the great thing about auctions is you never know quite what you're going to find, and all sorts of things go under the hammer. So, what was on offer for a guide price of £12,000 plus on this particular occasion? Well, it's certainly one of those lots with potential. It's a detached brick-built building, 9.5 by 4.5 metres, with a useful adjacent covered area and courtyard, suitable for a wide variety of potential uses. Fantastic! I'm fantastic. The site lies down this lane, nestled behind a former public house, currently being converted into flats, and in front of land that was previously an industrial site. A strange location, really, with a residential in front of it and commercial behind it. But what's inside it? I'm fantastic. Well, it soon becomes apparent that what you've got here is actually the outbuildings from what was a pub. And obviously, in recent times, it was used to store all the paraphernalia from the pub. So you've got old pool tables, there's a football table there, all sorts of bits and pieces. That's the main brick-built unit there, and then this is the little courtyard and covered area. You've got quite a lot of space, though. I mean, I have seen houses built on much less space than this. But at the moment, its opportunities are fairly limited. The time for playing games here is now over, but the name of the game is to work out what it could be used for and what you would get planning permission for. Oh, right. Well, clearly something you're going to have to invest in is a good few skips to get rid of this stuff, or maybe stick it on an auction website. People buy all sorts of stuff, don't they? But more seriously, this building itself only got one layer of bricks, so if you're looking at actually using this as a foundations or the sort of shell for a building, you're going to have to invest in some more insulation and also a damp proofing of some sort, because obviously single skin brick ain't going to work. Good news though, looks like you've got electricity laid on, and that is always going to be something which is going to be expensive. Your services are a big part of any renovation stroke construction project. Oh dear. Maybe I was a bit premature in my excitement. Looks like that is your electricity supply. Probably went to the old pub. So you're going to have to have electricity laid on, probably gas as well, although it looks like there is some kind of drainage, sewerage or whatever close by. So good news and bad news. It's basically things you're going to have to factor into any budget. Splitting the single supply that went from the old pub to here isn't as simple as it may sound. As a separate site, it will need an independent supply, so new cables directly from the junction box, a new meter and new account need to be created. Separate accounts and supply provided for gas and water too, and drainage and sewerage need to be able to accommodate potentially higher use than they were designed for. And you know all of that is going to cost time and money. So what are your options for this little auction lot then? Well, for a start, important to note, it doesn't have planning permission, and that is therefore a risk. You might not ever get planning permission. If you were to apply for it, what would you apply for? Well, I mean, there's definitely enough space here to build a house, or maybe a little bungalow or a little cottage. You've got the access road there, so that's good news. Or you could keep it as it is, rent it out as garages, perhaps, somewhere to store stuff. At the kind of guide price it is, it's one of those ones, it could just be worth taking a punt on it. There are so many options for this unassuming scrap of land. I like its quirkiness, but what would be the best thing to do with it? We asked an estate agent along to give us the benefit of his local expertise. Is this place worth a punt at $12,000?
This is a mixed residential commercial area, so there'll always be a business that just needs a little bit of storage just for that extra little bit of space. I think in terms of renting the property, if you were to rent it out to somebody, you'd probably get in the region of £100 a month.
OK, a straightforward option. But what if you did want to build a residential property?
You'd look to build a one-bedroom property on here. The cost of doing that would be roughly in the region of £50,000, I would have thought, something of that nature, whether you converted it or demolished and built new. I'd expect it to be worth in the region of £90,000 to £100,000.
That's a potential profit of £38,000 based on the guide price of $12,000. And with a possible rental income of £475 per calendar month, it all adds up quite nicely. That's if you can get planning permission. Otherwise, even just renting it out as storage still gives you a 10% yield on the guide price. Well, it's certainly an interesting auction lot with loads of potential. Let's see who was bowled over by it at the auction.
Lock-up yard, ladies and gentlemen, lot 29. 10 to start me. 10. Who's got 8,000 to put it into the bidding? He has, thank you. £8,000 is the opening bid. 8.5 seated. 8.5, 9,000. At 9,000, 9.5. At £10,000, 10.5. At 10.5. At 11, at 11,500, 12,000, at 12,500 either of you, 12,500, at 13, at 13,500 again, 500, 13,500, 14, sir. £13,500 once, twice, third time, sold at 13,500, thank you.
Hidden in the crowd were Joe and his wife Angie, the successful bidders getting the property for £13,500. However, we caught up with Joe to find out about his plans. Joe, good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you, Martin.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell me why you wanted to buy this place.
I'm looking to basically start a new business, and I needed some premises.
Oh, right. What's the business?
I'm going to go into, I'm calling it garden services, but it's mowing, grass cutting.
So you need somewhere for your equipment and
somewhere
stuff like
for
that?
my equipment to store, yes, yeah.
So you've literally bought it to store your stuff?
Yes.
All of it? I mean...
No, when I actually came to look at the viewing of it, I believed it was one building. It was only when I got here and looked at it that I realised there's a dividing wall between the two. So the smaller area of the two is going to suit me fine.
Right, and what will you do with the other bit?
Well, the other part of it, I'm hoping to potentially rent it out. So it could be for storage and distribution, or it could be for what they call a light industry workshop.
OK.
If I could get it for light industrial, and somebody who's interested, there's a little workshop. I'm thinking a one-man band who maybe a craftsman, somebody like that.
Yeah, an art studio or something like that.
An art studio. I even actually thought maybe something like the railway enthusiasts who've got, model railway lines and things like that could build a good layup in there. And I'd hope to get, it'd be nice. I'd hope to get round about up to £90 per week.
Right.
And that would then make the return on the investment very good.
Smart thinking. Use of land is categorised in planning regulations, and light industrial work applies to industry suitable for a residential area, something not too noisy, dirty, smelly, that sort of thing. And given the pub is going to be flats, that all seems to make sense. However, there are more issues about services to think about, like that electricity supply.
I have looked into it, and I do have somebody come in next week to begin to give me a price on that. The price it can be horrendous, depending on how far they've got to come. We are hoping that we can use a default cable that runs down the drive. I hope. If not, it's a matter of digging around about 23 metres of drive.
Ouch. So, what's the budget?
Budget is, I've set a £3,000 budget.
OK, that's not including the electrics, or is it?
That includes the electrics.
OK.
And I've also put a contingency of £1,000 to one side. And of the £3,000, at least £1,500 will go to the external electrics. I'm allowing £100 for the meter to be installed internally, and round about £500 for the internal electrics.
Right.
So they're the big spends.
Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
I hope he's right about that budget, because although the electricity seems like the main expense, I'm guessing there's going to be quite a bill for skips. Then there's the guttering, the roof tiles, the paint and the inside. Even though he'll be doing a lot of it himself, it's tight. And then there is time, because Joe will be in the hands of the electricity company, and he reckons that could take 6 weeks. Are you excited about what it means, actually?
Yes, I am. For some time, I've over years, I've been thinking it'd be nice to have a bit of storage space or somewhere that's your own, I wouldn't call it a man cave or anything like that, but something down that route. So, yeah, I am excited, and I'm looking forward to, I guess, clearing everything out and seeing, the space in its entirety.
Good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck with it, and we look forward with interest to seeing what you do with it.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
And you.
Well, it seems this place is absolutely ideal for Joe and his new business venture. Of course, the big issue is getting those electrics in, and I'm worried that budget is not enough. How will it all turn out? You can find out later in the show. Still to come, a substantial property in Walderslade, Chatham, has a rather obvious problem. There's not supposed to be water pouring in through there. And in Ripley, Derbyshire, Joe's wife is spoilt.
Cleaning all the initial rubbish out was a full day's job, and I brought the wife down as well for a bit of a holiday.
Well, it looks like holiday weather in Guildford in Surrey. We return now to catch up with web designer Catherine, who paid £176,000 for this one-bedroom flat close to the town centre. A great location, but the property was in a bit of a state.
Well, I think it needs stripping right back. Obviously, it's in quite a poor state, so just get everything out.
This was a first-time auction purchase for Catherine, and she was hoping it would be a launch pad to a new career.
I'm hoping it'll be the start of many more, but I feel confident I can manage this and, and see where it takes me.
With a long list of improvements to be made, her ambitious timescale and budget came as a bit of a surprise to me.
What? 6 weeks and 15 grand?
I know.
I reckon 25 grand was nearer the mark, but has Catherine proved me wrong? flat is barely recognisable from what there was here before. Creating that little corridor at the front has made all the difference to the feel of the place. Also, those extra doors will help keep out the winter drafts. The new windows at the front look really, really smart. And I'm glad to see the hedge has been tamed, letting daylight flood into this lovely front room. In the lounge, the escape hatch has been replaced by a door, allowing direct access to the back. And the lean-to has been removed. Actually, this is a really good space now. At the back of the flat, that odd assortment of units and cupboards have been stripped out and replaced by a lovely new kitchen. And next to that, the new bathroom is modern, it's fresh and it's clean. The flat has been rewired and replumbed. There's a new central heating system, new flooring, new double glazing, and everything has been replastered and decorated. Were there any challenges along the way?
I think the biggest challenge was the flooring. In certain parts, particularly in this room, it was very uneven. The joists, we needed to actually strip back and then raise some of the joists just to get it level so that it would take the floor. And we hadn't seen that, we just assumed it had nice floorboards that would be okay, but it took a bit of work. And then we had a slight damp patch underneath the window. It was really to do with the lean-to that was there. There was water running in, there was a pipe that was leaking. So we've replaced all of the pipe work, the lean-to's gone and the problem's gone away, so it's all dried out.
And now the moment of truth. Catherine had budgeted for $15,000, which I thought was a big underestimation. Come on now, Catherine, spill the beans.
We came in at 15,600. So, yes, 600 over, so I'm pleased with that.
Seriously, only £600 over? I was expecting £6,000 over. OK, next time I'm in Guildford, Catherine, you can buy me a slice of humble pie. And given we're back just after her 6-week timescale, it looks like she was right on that too.
The builders that we used were great. They were absolutely dedicated to the cause. I think we're a couple of weeks ahead of ourselves, just because they were here every day wanting to get it finished. I can't fault them, they were brilliant.
OK, make that 2 slices of humble pie. Catherine has developed this flat to put on the rental market. So we asked 2 local property experts to come and assess the quality of work and to give us some idea of its worth, given the current market conditions.
First impressions are very good, actually. They've done it very well. Nice, neat, tidy flat. They've paid attention to a few of the small details, particularly, I think, the sash windows. That's unusual because they're very expensive to put in. But buyers look for small things like that, and that effectively will increase the price.
Well, I think it's been refurbished to a very high standard. I think it's beautifully presented, particularly great location. The flooring and the general decor is very saleable and very rentable.
It's an upbeat verdict from the experts. So if the property was to be put up for sale, how much would it be worth?
If everything was to swing in your favour, £210,000.
£220,000 to £230,000.
Catherine has spent £191,600 on the purchase and the refurbishment of this flat. A sale at the upper valuation would bring in a pre-tax profit of £38,400, minus the usual fees. But her eye is set firmly on the rental market.
The rentable value I would expect to achieve on this property would be £875 per calendar month.
The rental value I would put at around £1,000 per calendar month.
Somewhere in between would be good. Obviously 1,000 would be lovely. Yeah, no, that's very pleasing.
A rental of £1,000 per calendar month would represent a return on her investment of just over 6%. I'd say this has been a successful venture into the world of property development. Will she be visiting the property auctions again anytime soon?
I'd definitely do it again. The biggest challenge is just finding the next project.
I'm in Walderslade, a suburb of Chatham in Kent. The name actually means wood in a valley, so it's not surprising to learn that the whole area was once wooded until the housing developments of the 1900s came along. But it is a really popular place to live with good commuter links, rail links, shops, etc. And you know what? Still looks pretty leafy to me. Lying just 10 minutes drive away from Chatham and with easy access onto the surrounding motorway network, it's a popular family-orientated place. So it'll probably come as no surprise that prices are a little more expensive here than in neighbouring Chatham due to its pretty rural setting. So we like the area, and when the property that was up for auction was described as substantial, with the guide price of just £200,000 to £210,000, you've got to think, whoa, this could be brilliant. Behind this rather mishmash of trees and shrubs is the property itself, and substantial it most certainly is. 2 doors to go into. Which one should we choose? That one. The 2 doors actually access 2 separate properties, so what will we find behind the first one? Well, the first thing is that the house has obviously been divided into 2 flats. A door there leading upstairs to, not surprisingly, the upstairs flat, this door leading into the downstairs flat. Well done, Mr. Logical. What have we got? Well, the first thing is the moment you walk through the door, this overwhelming smell of damp, and it is dark and dingy and not very good. However, the size is good. Look at that living room there with a lovely parquet floor, and then through to the kitchen. Well, needs a bit of work, but it's not a bad size space, but clearly serious things going wrong. Should we tempt fate, shall we? Should have brought my umbrella. Yeah, look at that. Not good at all. Right. Bit of work to be done then.
I got a dirty, dirty feeling. Dirty feelings going on.
And this is going to take a lot, but the pluses are that good-sized lounge leads to a decent-sized bedroom and bathroom. Double glazed windows look out over a garden. That's another plus. Judging by the amount of mail lying here, the flats have been empty for some time. Will the upstairs one be as bad? So, up to the first floor flat, and the smell? Worse, if anything. Not good at all. What is good is the size. Right downstairs, a really nice size living room here and through to the kitchen. Now, it's kind of a kitchen with 2 sides. This side here, well, you know, old units, but nothing too dramatic. This side, however, not good. There's not supposed to be water pouring in through there. Clearly a problem with the roof or whatever's above there. Water pouring in, probably damaging the timbers up there, going down through the floor. It's really not good. So into your renovation budget, you now have to factor redoing probably the roof and also some carpentry, I would suggest. But you know, there's a shell to work with. It's still pretty good. Let's carry on exploring. The bedroom is definitely in the pink. This room has a window out onto a sort of roof terrace. Could that be the source of damp for downstairs? I'll come back to that. As for the bathroom, I don't think I've ever seen a bath wrapped in carpet before. Definitely don't want to see it again. The carpet has to go. Outside, the exterior looks pretty shoddy, and that's not good. So some worrying cracks at the front of the property there that you definitely want to have checked out to buy a professional. But I've come to the back of the property to try and see what is causing all that damp. And from here, sure enough, look at the state of both the exterior walls and also their 2 flat roofs that are obviously letting in water. Now, when it comes to restoring a house like this, you want to start literally top down. Sort out the roof first, give the property a chance to dry out, and then get on with the rest of the stuff. Talking of which, let's take a look next door. You'd nearly forgotten about the second half of this substantial property, hadn't you? The right-hand side of this lot is a 3-bed semi. And sniff, sniff, I'm pleased to report that this half of the property smells much better. In fact, the whole air of neglect that permeates next door has evaporated here. Apart from this good-sized lounge, there's a dated kitchen and lean-to, which I reckon has got to join next door's bathroom carpet in the skip. One thing that could be a negative is what is outside the lounge window, a school. Unless you have a child attending or you're out all day, the noise could be an issue. The dated but well-maintained theme continues upstairs with 3 bedrooms, a bathroom and a separate loo. There is double glazing throughout and a newish boiler. What's not to like? This is a lot of property for a guide price of just £200,000 to £210,000. It's time to find out what a local agent makes of it all.
There are lots of options with this property. You could have it as one big detached house, you could have it as 2 individual semi-detached houses, or you could convert it into 4 individual flats. However, what I would suggest would be leaving it as the original layout as 2 flats and 1 semi-detached house.
I think I would agree. Converting these properties would be expensive. And there is demand in the area for both flats and family homes, which would make this property ideal and ripe for investment. But let's talk values first.
Once this property has been renovated, I would say the 3-bedroom semi-detached property would fetch in the region of £220,000 to £230,000, and each individual flat would be worth in the region of around £110,000, £115,000.
And with rental popular in the area, what could be expected on that front?
The 3-bedroom semi would rent in the region of £900 per calendar month to £950 per calendar month. You would also get for the individual flats between £500 and £550 per calendar month.
Well, lots of opportunities for this place. I like the layout pretty much as it is, and it could be a really solid investment. But don't underestimate the amount of money it's going to cost to put it right. Who wasn't put off? Let's find out when it went under the hammer.
Semi-detached house and 2 flats, all needing improvement. Developer's dream, I would have thought. Start me where you will, good-sized plot. 180, 180, 180, do I say? 180, 180, I'm on the way. 190, I'm bid. 190, 200, 200 if you like. 195, I've got on my right. 200 if you like. 200, I'm bid. 205 now if you like.
With the lot proving popular, we leave it there and rejoin at 305,000.
305 I'm looking for. 305. 307 I've got. 310. 312? No, definitely not. At 310,000 in the front row then for the first time. 310,000 for the second time. Third and final time at 310 in the front row. Make no mistake, all done. £310,000.
The successful bid, which was £100,000 over the guide price, belonged to Sidcup-based Robin. Buying the property with his 2 sisters, who will be silent partners, Robin has a background in new build developments. I met him back at the property to find out more. Robin, very good to meet you.
Yes, you too.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you paid quite a bit more than the guide price. Why did you want this property so much?
I think once this place is done, it'll achieve a figure that we're hoping it will achieve.
Which is?
Around 420, 430.
So tell me, why did you buy it?
This has been bought with my sisters, and we have a portfolio of properties, but they're all apartments in London. All off-plan new build. The reason why we did it is because it's difficult to get off-plan in London now at a good price. So it seemed a natural course of events for us to to move into auction property.
And was it that sort of unusual configuration, the fact you've got the house and the 2 apartments? I mean, a lot of property really and options. Was that what really appealed?
Yes, absolutely. The apartments are quite good size. You know, it's very hard to find 1-bed apartments of that size.
Yeah.
Modern apartments anyway nowadays, and they will have gardens as well, which is quite unusual. And the house, it's a good size itself. So we thought, okay, there's money to be made here.
There might well be, but going from off-plan new builds to property renovation is a bit of a leap. Robin has converted a couple of commercial premises before, but a project this size is all new territory, although Robin does have a secret weapon.
Got a contractor. He's worked for me on a conversion that I've just recently done. The contractor, Paul, he's done an excellent job in a short period of time.
Right.
We work very well together. It just seemed a perfect marriage.
Great. So, has he seen it yet?
He has. He came with us when we viewed it initially before going to the auction. We got an idea from him as to what it will cost to do it up.
And what did he say?
Yeah, approximately about 40,000.
Okay, to do both?
To do all three, everything.
A bit of a deal, really.
It's a bit of a deal, but with Paul, I've always got a good deal from him.
Well, 40 grand would be a great deal for the amount of work needed, and even though Robin has a builder he trusts, that seems like a tall order. Robin plans to keep the flats and house and have them done up for resale, but he is prepared to rent if necessary. But before that, there is a lot of work to be done, especially with that roof issue. What has Paul had to say about that?
That's the first port of call to get the roof sorted and stop the leaking of water coming through. The roof is generally in a fairly good condition.
Good. So what's the timescale?
A timescale, 6 months, to have the properties ready for marketing, and then say add another 3 months for selling. So 9 months in total, start to finish.
Well, listen, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Look forward to seeing how you get on.
Absolutely, thank you.
Well, a big project for Robin to take on as his first auction property, but hopefully with the help of builder Paul, they will get it sorted out for that budget. You can find out later in the show.
So, Martin, we've seen how one of the properties has panned out on today's show. What about the others?
Yes, let's find out how the other 2 purchasers got on with their properties. First up is Derbyshire and the town of Ripley, where earlier I came across this detached brick building with covered courtyard, which sat behind a former public house. It was a good size and consisted of 2 fair-sized units, ripe for rental, apart from one potentially expensive problem. Looks like that is your electricity supply. Probably went to the old pub, so you're going to have to have electricity laid on, probably gas as well, although it looks like there is some kind of drainage, sewerage or whatever close by. So good news and bad news. It's basically things you're going to have to factor into any budget. Although at a guide price of just £12,000 plus, it was a property full of potential. Step up local man Joe, who for £13,500 had decided he could see that potential. He planned to use one unit for storage for his fledgling gardening business, and the other would be rented out as a workshop, although the electrical problem hadn't escaped his attention. Now, you talk about putting electrics in there. Have you looked into the cost of that? Because it might not be cheap.
We are hoping that we can use a default cable that runs down the drive. Maybe the engineers can tap into that. I hope. If not, it's a matter of digging around about 23 metres of drive up.
Ouch. Work of that nature would not be cheap, making Joe's already tight budget of £3,000 with a £1,000 contingency look even more strained. However, if he was going to rent out the second unit as a workshop, having the electricity was an absolute necessity. On top of that, never underestimate the cost of clearing out rubbish and junk. But Joe planned on doing the majority of the work himself on the former pub storage unit, complete with skittle alley, and his enthusiasm had bowled me over. 2.5 months later, we've returned to see if Joe's plans have come to fruition. This former shabby and forgotten space is now home to a modern and appealing workshop, complete with electricity and drainage, perfect for letting out.
Lots of changes in here as we've been looking at things, as we can see. We've got rid of all the junk out of the bottom of the place. We've replastered, reboarded the ceiling. We've plastered the walls, new electrics in everywhere, painted it through. We've had electric meter put in here. We found the grate, the old horse grate. So all in all, we're very pleased with what we've done with this building.
With the neighbouring unit's sole purpose to accommodate Joe's gardening equipment, work here was kept to a minimum, with just the floor being concreted and the doors being given a much-needed lick of paint. The entire space is looking tidier and fresher, but it's the story behind connecting that electricity supply that I'm most interested in.
The major problem with this has been the electric supply. A whole raft of issues that the supply itself was connected up once we dug it out. Unfortunately, it was found that for several reasons the supply wasn't live, which was due to it was missing on the drawings. And the utility company had to come back 3 weeks later and dig another hole on the pavement and reconnect again. We have done a lot more work than anticipated, and the reason for doing the additional work, which was the plastering out and boarding, was what I actually did. I had a couple of people that I know to come. I said, I'm going to open the doors of the big building, and I want you to tell me, if you was renting this, what would be the one thing that you would say needs improving? And both of them said, plaster the walls and board the ceiling. So I thought that was good advice. And because we could back do it in budget, we'd do it.
Listening to what potential renters would expect is a really good idea. And thankfully, the electrical work and all other work here came in at £3,000, bang on Joe's budget. He also saved money by doing the majority of the work himself, although he did have a helper.
Obviously, cleaning all the initial rubbish out was a full day's job, and I brought the wife down as well for a bit of a holiday. But most days I'd be down here for maybe an hour, 2 hours. Sometimes it would be all day. I just wanted to work together and really get it done, get it finished.
Joe finished the work here in just 4 weeks and spent a total of £16,500 on the entire project. With a view to renting out the larger unit, we asked 2 local property agents for their opinions.
I think the work that's been done with the properties is to a good standard, and I think they've made the best of what was here.
There's good demand for small starter units, particularly cottage industries, ideal for self-employed builders. The demand is fair at the moment. It's a smaller unit than the 1,000 square foot starter unit, so it's an ideally placed unit.
Looks like Joe has unearthed a little gem here. But what about those all-important rental figures?
The larger unit would rent in the region of £150 per calendar month, and the smaller unit would be circa £50 per calendar month.
I would suggest that the large unit, if he was looking to offer it to the rental market and looking for a tenant, I would have thought that you would ask for a rent somewhere in the region of £150 to £200 a month. Collectively, if you were to offer the 2, I would have thought that you would achieve somewhere in the region of £250, maybe £280 per calendar month for the 2.
So if Joe does achieve £150 per calendar month for the larger unit, that would mean a yield of a very respectable 10%.
And on those sort of figures, the payback over the project is going to be about 5 years, and that I think that's very good. So yeah, very pleased with all of that.
And so you should be, Joe. With a store for your thriving business and a rental income besides, this has been a sound investment, proving property doesn't have to be big to be profitable. We return now to Walderslade near Chatham in Kent, where earlier I found this sizable property which was guided at £200,000 to £210,000. It had been split into two, with one side comprising 2 one-bedroom flats and the other a 3-bedroom family home. It was snapped up by Robin for £100,000 over that guide price. Robin, along with his 2 sisters, who are silent partners, had a small portfolio of off-plan new-build properties in London. And while he had done a little renovation before, this project represented a far greater challenge. Thankfully, though, Robin had come prepared.
Got a contractor, the contractor Paul. He's done an excellent job in a short period of time.
Right.
We work very well together. It just seemed a perfect marriage.
Well, this dynamic duo had a big job on their hands. With signs of damp running throughout the 2 flats and a 3-bedroom house in need of complete overhaul, I was concerned that their budget of £40,000 wouldn't cover it. 5.5 months later, we've returned to Walderslade to see how they've got on. And first up is the 3-bedroomed house. What was once little more than a dreary lean-to is now a lovely extension, creating a modern and appealing kitchen diner.
We originally had a chimney breast, and there was also a den kind of thing on the corner. We've got rid of the chimney breast. We've got rid of this den thing. We've modernised it throughout. This is now the dining area. I think this will appeal to young families with children. Plenty of space for them to eat and do whatever.
A beautifully painted and re-carpeted hallway, complete with a very handy downstairs WC, leads into a transformed living room. The transformation continues upstairs, particularly into the bigger and brighter master bedroom.
Originally there was a wall here, so this was quite a small room. We've got rid of that wall. There used to be a small hallway, dead-end hallway. We've put an ensuite here. This was originally part of the old bathroom, so this is now quite a large master bedroom.
The 2 remaining bedrooms have been decorated and re-carpeted, with a brand new bathroom suite completing the modern and clean feel that runs throughout this house. This has been a brilliantly thought out project by Robin and his contractor Paul. However, it was always a game of 2 halves here, with the neighbouring flats particularly in need of restoration. The pair decided to concentrate solely on the house and have barely started on the 2 flats, one of which they decided to turn into a 2-bed.
The house will be finished within the next 7 to 10 days, roughly. As soon as they're done, we're going to put this house on the market, and Paul will start on the flats. Paul's already kind of started already. We envisage it will be done within the next 2 to 3 months, and then the whole project will reach its conclusion.
Flat's a complete refurb, rewire, no central heating in there at the moment, new kitchens, bathrooms, turn the upstairs flat into a 2-bedroom from a 1-bedroom, but yeah, everything will be new.
The house has cost us approximately 20 to 22,000, and the remaining budget is there for the flats. So at this moment, we don't know whether we're going to go over that budget, but we're hoping we'll stick pretty close to the 40k.
Considering the level of finish to the house, not to mention the structural changes that have taken place, I think spending around £22,000 is pretty impressive. Since we last saw Robin, he's decided to sell all the properties once they are completed. But how has the transition from buying off-plan new builds to big project renovation gone?
This is a lot more involved, and obviously I'm looking to make a profit from this, so I'm constantly watching how things are progressing. We have asked other professionals in terms of the level of work we should put in, and what we'd get back in return. So, you know, that's instead of where we originally thought maybe we'll put a granite kitchen in, you know, we've been advised it's not really going to make much of a difference.
It's taken Robin and contractor Paul 5.5 months to finish the house, meaning his original timescale of 6 months for all 3 properties is a distant memory. However, I think Robin's decision to take his time as well as take advice will pay dividends when he comes to sell, especially if he sticks to that original budget of £40,000, which would mean a total spend here of £350,000. We've asked 2 local property agents along to cast their expert eyes, starting with the agent who saw it originally.
Very, very different. It was very run down before. I especially like the kitchen diner. It's got a lovely open feel to it, and it's good that they managed to squeeze in an ensuite to the master bedroom.
The property's been finished to a really high standard. In the current market would appeal to a lot of buyers, especially buyers coming into the area from London.
With Robin determined to sell, what could he expect once the properties are completed and put on the market?
This 3-bedroom property, once finished, should value in the region of £220,000 to £230,000.
In the current market, I would offer this property for £240,000.
We have got other estate agents, local ones, come along, and they've basically said you're looking between 260 to 280. So. Not sure where they've got that from.
Hopefully the flat valuations will impress.
I would value the 2-bedroom flat in the region of £120,000 to £130,000 and the 1-bedroom flat in the region of £115,000 to £125,000.
The 2-bedroom flat, if it was finished to the same standard as in this property, you could look to achieve £160,000. The 1-bedroom flat, again, if it was the same standard, you could look to achieve £130,000 to £140,000.
Again, we've had valuation, and our values come out 2-bed approximately around 145 to 155, and the 1-bed you're looking at between 120 to 125.
Lots of different options on this one then. For simplicity, total the highest figures Robin has mentioned, then the resale value would be around £560,000, giving him a potential pre-tax profit of £210,000, which makes Robin's switch from off-plan new build to auction house property really rather successful. Well, as you've just seen, investing in property can be a bit of a learning curve. But don't worry, we'll be back next time with more hints and tips for you.
Look forward to seeing you then on Homes Under the Hammer.
Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
From performing pop stars to scaffolders working on High Above Oxford Street in a new series next on BBC One. Then Gloria and the team investigate illegal sweets being sold on our high streets in Rip-Off Britain Food at 11:45.